Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Oil Stream inside the EST HQ. Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage with you. It's the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studio. Of course, the Oil Stream brought to you by Boston Pizza, where we will be tonight, Joaquin.
Which one?
Westgate again.
Nice.
It's awesome over there.
Nice. Golf sim, hey?
Golf sim.
I heard you guys talking about it. It sounded lovely.
They were playing it yesterday. Curtis and his buddies were playing it yesterday. Curtis, owner of Boston Pizza Westgate, and they're having a good time. His club snapped.
Oh, no.
And it went flying across the floor, thankfully.
Not to the screen.
And this lady, went and picked it up, and she gave him
no. So do you bring your own clubs? Or
You can.
Oh, okay.
You can. Yeah, you do. I don't think they have...
Like rental things.
Yeah. But it is a really nice golf sim. Lots of room.
Really?
You can swing, yeah.
I've never been in a golf sim.
It's fun.
Yeah,
Lots of
I know.
fun. Yeah, you'd love it. Come down today.
Maybe I might. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm busy, though.
Buy you a beer. You're a busy boy.
Yeah.
Busy boy. The Oilers are busy boys, too. 2 games in 2 nights. What is that? 3 and 4 as well. So we'll see if they can make it 3 straight victories. As always, text us 780-218-9999 and get in the nasty chat. Joel, I am not mad at you. I timed you out for 10 seconds on the EST draft of scary things for S&Gs. So I scared you. No, I am not mad at you at all. YouTube Trev also holding things down behind the monitors. Lots to get to. Send in your text. Thoughts on yesterday's game if you didn't join us on the pre- and post-game show. But yeah, we are live on location today. Boston Pizza Westgate. That's on 170th Street, 90th Avenue, right across the street from West Edmonton Mall. They did a nice renovation in recent months. Very well refreshed. And then, like Gadra was saying, $20 per hour for that golf sim in the lounge, which is the best rate I've seen in the city.
So you can, how long, you can go to any course you want?
It has, they were saying over
70,
75 courses you could choose from.
Cool.
And then they have mini games as well. So if you want to do something like a top golf type, they have games where you could play and hit targets and stuff like that. So it's pretty neat what they're doing with those simulators. And they also have their kids' Halloween party on Wednesday, or the 31st. Which is what? Halloween this year. Thursday. Thank you. From 3 to 6. They said that the rezos are pretty booked solid from, I think it's 4:30 to 6. So there's availability still from 3 to 4:30. Face painting, treat giveaways, obviously. And then you know how we do drink specials on the lounge side or, game day? Well, they have a kid's slushy drink special, which is really cool, topped off with gummy worms and stuff like that. So it's going to be great. Lots of specials in terms of food and beverages for Halloween, and they want to get the word out there as well. BP, we had a great time. Lots of good giveaways too, Gager.
It always takes me back, BP's, because now I go more to the lounge side.
Yes.
But back in the day when my kids were younger, it was always to the restaurant because it's a family restaurant. The old my son would eat a double order of bugs and cheese and worms and dirt, and it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious.
And nutritious.
Yeah.
Sure.
Except for those we got last year. I think we were at the St. Albert one, those square footers. Those are good. Those are really good.
You and I were doing the show from there.
Yeah, that was a joke how good those were. I've since gotten a few of those because
you took
I took the pepperoni and bacon one.
Yeah, and I had the spicy chicken.
Yeah, it was dynamite.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. Good for a game tonight.
Getting hungry. Good for a game tonight. That's right. We'll be live on location. Pre-game show goes at 4 o'clock. Face-off tonight in Columbus at 5 our time. So we will be interrupting the Reed Wilkins show with Jay Milne. You'll get Reed and Jay for an hour. Then you'll get myself and Hernan Salas live on location at Boston Pizza Westgate. And then you'll get Reed and Jay to wrap up the show. And then shortly after that, post-game. Because I think about 7:30, the Oilers and Jackets should be done. All right, 780-218-9999. Text us your thoughts on last night's performance. The result ultimately is good. The process, maybe you didn't approve of as much. The start, I think it's safe to say was bad. They had one shot the Oilers did in the first 13 minutes, and then slowly in the second and third, they really started to I said, flex on Detroit. not to take anything away from the Red Wings, and then ultimately get the win on Leon Draisaitl's birthday with a 3-point performance, including 2 goals with the OT winner on a nice feed from Matthias Ekholm. Gager, from what you saw last night, what would you glean? Edmonton's got a 2-game winning streak now.
I was a little surprised about the start, but I understand it, right? The after Friday's game, the manhandling of the Pittsburgh Penguins, that was just a masterful, like they were so good. I was sitting at an angle. I was actually at the game, and the third period where it was out of reach, right? It was done. Usually you see a team kind of let off the gas. They were no brakes, all gas in that game. It was amazing how they just, even if the Pittsburgh Penguins somehow mustered some sort, and I know they had a few good chances, but in their own end, it was a joke. So when fast forward to the first period of the Detroit game, I thought there would be a little bit more of a carryover.
Right.
Although it's a weird time traveling the day before. That's the first time they've played at that time, and I know they've done it before, but when you do that for the first time of the season, it can be a little just out of your rhythm.
You'll lose a couple of hours, which, like you said, that's a good way to describe it, because all of a sudden you're fast forwarding your day, and your patterns and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we know how much you struggle with time zone changes, Tommy. So just imagine how they felt.
That hurts, but it's true.
But the first period, it seemed like the Detroit Red Wings were taking it to them, and I was hoping for a little bit more of a pushback, but I understood it just because of when that game started and how it all went. But then you saw the Edmonton Oilers start taking over the game, so to speak, and I mean, getting back into it. Great. I love the goal on Bush. Great screen by Hyman. I know that doesn't really show up on the scoreboard or whatever, but that was a perfect screen. And then the overtime goal, the play by Ekholm, and it was just awesome.
18 seconds it took.
And, they were, I think it was tough because they got in and they didn't look, and it was a bit jumbled, but they kept their composure. Leon goes to the net and bats that one in. The thing that I liked most, and maybe it was because of his birthday or something, but Leon showed some enjoyment after he scored. Like usually it's just a grumpy old man. But
very disciplined German.
Yeah, yeah. But it was great to see him happy, and that was a good win, a really good win against a team they should beat, I think. But momentum's good, and this is where you always look at those. I know they say we're in the moment and stuff, but you do look ahead and see who you're playing, and you gather, okay, we should pick up some points and some momentum there, and that's what they're doing.
I'm glad you brought that up, because Justin of Balgoni via the nasty chat says, why does it say Oilers in Nashville? Aren't they playing the Blue Jackets today? That is correct, Justin of Balgoni. But as Joaquin pointed out, it's the look ahead. And we'll take a quick peek at that game coming up later in the week. The Oilers continuing a 4-game road trip. They get the win last night in Detroit. They take on the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight. And then it's off to Nashville, and they wrap it up with the Battle of Alberta, I believe Saturday, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. So that's why you're seeing the Preds if you're watching on the YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe. As always, we appreciate you so much. There's some interesting comments, just a couple in the nasty chat so far. D. White says, the Oilers were lucky last night. They need a better effort tonight. I don't know. Like, to me, D. White, I'll just give my quick take on it. I don't know if they were lucky last night. I think it wasn't an ideal game.
No.
Pickard made some great saves. They were sloppy really at the start. And then there were some moments, like you talk about, watch them in the first 5 to 10 minutes with the outlet passes. That was kind of their identity and calling card last season. I was watching them earlier this year, and I thought of you and how you observed last year's team. Is it fair to paint them under that same brush kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, let's look at we always nitpick, but just the first goal itself, I believe the puck went to Kulak. He got it behind the kind of to the side of the net, went to make a pass, completely flubbed it, got someone, I forget who, I think it was Kane. Did he come in second off the forecheck? Anyway,
yeah.
Kane gets the puck, And he's probably, him and McDavid, maybe another, Kucherov, are the only guys I think that did that on purpose, where you can hit the side of the net and make it go straight out.
Right.
And he banked it, the net goes straight to Kopp. Kopp doesn't dust it off and launches it past, right? So right there, just that first, like usually in games that they're going to do well at, and in the first period, you see that quick pass. Kulak just...
It was almost, was it like a flick?
It was a flub, but he was kind of trying to. It just didn't look assertive.
No,
maybe that's the word I'm trying to look at. Because the guy was open, like it was the right play to make, but it was just a little bit off. And usually he's, at least with Kulak, he's usually right on with that stuff.
Fair, yeah.
And being under pressure too. So, I don't think that what D. White's saying we're lucky, because. Obviously there was a shot difference in that first 10 minutes, but sometimes you got to expect that. And look, we were just talking in the bullpen there, Tommy, what area of the Oilers game has been the most consistent up to this point.
Yeah.
Calvin Pickard was fantastic.
Thank you for pointing that out. He made some great saves. I think too in the second period, it was a nice cross seam pass. One-timer, he slides across, and I'm like, solid save.
Yeah.
And then really steady, he looked like to me, which is good because he's established himself as a reliable backup goalie.
Has he ever?
In my opinion. And that is one area of the Oilers game, and the boys were talking about it on the morning show. They're like, what has stood out to you? What do you think is the strength of this team? And there was lots of talk of the depth, and I agree with that, like on forward and stuff, but the first thing that came to my mind was goaltending.
Yeah.
I actually do think the goaltending has been pretty solid outside the first 3 games.
And I wonder if that's, the Oilers goalies have been solid for over a year now. Maybe just about a year. If you look at, when did Campbell get sent
Mid-November. He got 5 games last year, and then they're like, that's it.
So, and Pickard's played great. Not a great first start for him, but this is kind of, when I watched him tonight, yesterday, I was looking forward to see his kind of where he was going to establish himself, because he's already done it, but not quite to the point where, okay, we can throw this guy in certain situations throughout the year when maybe the workload's getting a little bit heavy on Stuart Skinner, and really get good, solid goaltending and pick up points. I don't think you can ask for more from your number 2 guy, that he's giving you a chance to get points in every game that he plays. That's what you want. And I mean, what he did last year in the playoffs, his resume is just getting better and better, I think, with reliable second guy goaltending.
He's a good pro goalie.
Yeah, man. Some of those saves were unreal, actually. And I know what that position is like. It's hard. It's very difficult to do.
You had to do it.
The staying the number 1 guy, in a sense, it's a lot easier because you're just playing every game, right? To keep yourself ready all the time as the second guy and go in there and perform. That's impressive. I'm really impressed with Calvin Pickard.
And we'll go back to Friday as well. After that Carolina game, going into the Pittsburgh game that the Oilers blanked the Pens, and Stu Skinner had to make some good saves, despite the shot discrepancy. Like I said it, and I stood by Skinner. We're hearing the things on post-game following the Carolina game, people saying, "Oh, they're saying Skinner sucks on the LRT after the game," and people bitching about him. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? He was good in Dallas. Maybe I'll say that first goal. All right.
Yeah.
I'll give the naysayers to Stu Skinner. That first one against Dallas, sure. Yeah. Take it, right? You want to save there? I understand. But there was a couple of breakdowns before we got to that shot. Outside of that, I think since the first week of the season, he has progressively gotten better, and it culminates with that shutout the other night.
I mean, you said it lots of times, just you and I talking, Tommy. Stuart Skinner's a slow starter.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Oilers on a whole were slow this year. They had a few more preseason games. seems like things are rounding into form. Sure, there's still some blemishes, I would say.
Of course.
And,
yes.
Blemishes maybe is wrong. It's just guys that are maybe a little snake bitten,
Hyman,
for sure. It's coming though. They're still getting chances, and you hear guys always say that. As long as I'm still getting chances, that's a good sign that it's going to come eventually. But yeah, man, no, it's trying to get back to where they were, last year. And I think it's a good start, a chance to go 500 for the first time tonight.
Yeah.
They're in a completely different situation than they were at last year at this point.
Way ahead of where they were last year.
It's crazy.
It's sad, but true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, I would, what I want to see them do, Tommy, because this has happened a little bit too much. Tonight's first period, I want them to not have to weather the storm of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Mm-hmm. I'd like them to establish dominance. Maybe it doesn't even have to be dominance, but just matching their intensity.
Yeah.
Don't be on your heels. Like after the first 10 minutes, the shots shouldn't be 12-2 in favor of the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
It should be a lot more even or in the favor of the Edmonton Oilers.
Edmonton 4-4-1 heading into this game. Columbus is 3-3-1. The Oilers coming into a back-to-back situation. That flight from Columbus or Detroit to Columbus is about 45 minutes. It's a quick hop. So they probably got to bed at a reasonable time. It was a 6 o'clock Eastern start yesterday. So rest. They're not practicing this morning. They had no optional, just no skate.
Yeah.
Which is typical when it comes to back-to-backs in the NHL. And, we're assuming it's Stu Skinner tonight. Pretty sure it will be. Maybe Travis Dermott gets in there. But I don't know. I thought Ty Emberson in his limited minutes is starting to look more settled in. I'm not going to say good, and this guy's, it's coming, more settled in. Like little steps in the right direction, right? Because they're limiting his minutes big time.
Yeah. You know who's really kind of impressed me so far? Maybe it's just... Darnell Nurse. Mm-hmm. He's
how dare you defend him?
I know. Well, I was lucky enough Friday night to be part of the Randy Craig McTavish inductee into the. So we're all in the chairman's room or whatever down there, and I actually met Darnell Nurse for the first time, and he was talking to someone else before, and I was just he was quite jacked up about. Like he was still beaming after the game, and got in the tilt late and stuff like that. So he just seemed way more confident. And I know I haven't seen him in person a lot, but this was a guy oozing confidence to me. It seemed like, I was just you're kind of looking at a guy and go, okay, you're feeling it right now, which was good because I thought he had a great game. I love the fact that he stuck up for his teammate late. Maybe I always felt that, you get involved physically in a game. It brings you into it a little bit more emotion. Maybe that's what he's found something to unlock part of his game that I think is crucial.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, you want having that side of you, and Corey Perry, the same kind of thing, which is,
spark them again.
Again. Yeah. It's like this guy. And this is what, all the people that go, how do they sign Corey Perry for 1.5? And you hear the management talk about, well, there's these other parts of Corey Perry that you don't always translate into stats and things like that. But just here's a guy, he's a Hart Trophy winner, right? Like the Oilers are the last team to have 3 Hart Trophy winners is the Montreal Canadiens way back when, right? So these guys know what it takes. They can read certain parts of the game and know how it's changing and what they can do to influence it without just putting up points. And it's great to see both Darnell Nurse and Corey Perry doing that.
Darnell Nurse last week on the homestand holding court like he used to, and he seemed to be in a better
little bit,
frame of mind, and that's good because I talked about it the last couple of years. He's kind of not the usual Darnell. Like he's a pretty chipper guy. Very excited.
Is. Yeah, he's very meeting him. And I said hi to him, shook his hand. I didn't talk to him, but he seemed like a guy with ton of confidence at that point. Which
and that's good. They need that.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Especially for you want it throughout the whole lineup, but a guy that's a lightning rod, and I'm sure we'll rip him apart for a bad game at some point again.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to give him huge props for the past 2 games because he was good, really good.
Yes, he was. All right, this is the Oil Stream presented by Boston Pizza. We're inside the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studios. Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage with you. Text us 780-218-9999 and then get into the nasty chat as well. I do have some texts that I wanted to get to. I saw Penner's Pancakes who had a comment saying, the Oilers had a bad first, played well in the second and third. Problem is their shooting percentage will not stay at 6%. We're hearing this theme coming up a lot, and that's fair. Once they start bearing their chances, this will all be forgotten. 4-4-1 Gager, we joked, rightly so, that they're well ahead of where they were at this point last year, and a chance to go 5-4-1 if they're able to win in Columbus tonight against the Jackets team. It's okay. It's 3-3-1. Obviously, a Jackets team franchise, the hockey world as a whole, dealing with a lot with the loss of Johnny Gaudreau. But are we starting to see an identity develop for this team, or is that still kind of a work in progress, TBD type of situation?
Yeah, I don't think we know yet, Tommy. I know we were probably saying I'd like to see how they are at the 10-game mark. Mm-hmm. I usually say you really know that a few games, like game 22, 23, is where you really have a good sense. Because maybe you've had an injury or someone stepped up. You've gone through maybe some highs and some lows of the season so far. So I don't know yet. They've shown signs of what they're capable of, certainly. But still, I think there's a lot more there throughout the whole lineup. I know they went back to Connor and Leon, and they did well against Detroit. They didn't have really an answer for them. Mm-hmm. But I'd still like to see. I'd like to see them look more like the Carolina Hurricanes, where they all play the same. You know, there's not huge discrepancies line by line by line.
That's a good team. Even
on the just be that boa constrictor defense where it was against I know the Pittsburgh Penguins just were god awful, but again, they had no time with the puck in the third period, and I know they were trying to force feed Hyman and get some guys going, which was actually hilarious. Dave Cooper and I were laughing because they were trying to pass so much to Hyman, but when Pittsburgh had the puck and we were trying to get out of the zone, there was just a guy on them every single time. I was like, wow, and this was when they were up, right?
Right.
So, there's no reason why they can't do that on a regular basis. You know,
that's a frustrating thing.
I know.
It's the capability is there. They show us that, and then just them being able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're there for a lot of the starts of the games. Like, why? It just seems like it takes a while to get that engine going.
I know, but it's something that has gone. It's been consistent year to year to year. And it's an early shot goes in, and they're chasing it. And sadly, I don't want to believe this, but because of the track record in the example I just brought up, where year to year to year, it's like, they don't usually play good in the first period. It's almost like part of their mindset is like, well, we'll get that one back later.
There's a slight confidence, arrogance, I think, with that.
Yes, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
So, and that's good, but
it's also okay to play with the lead and get it early on.
Well, there was
that's confidence.
They look
too.
like junkyard dogs in that third period at times.
Yeah.
They were just, I want to go get that puck from the other team. Like, this is, it was impressive. I know I've said that word a lot, but I was sitting at an angle where you get a really good view of the game and the speed of things. I was marveled actually at how effective the Edmonton Oilers were.
It's there. It's just tapping into it on a consistent basis. They are 4-4-1. This time last year, I think they were 2-3 or 2-5-1, something like that. If I'm not looking at the record last year on my screen, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I know they had the win against Nashville, and then they also had a win. I think the second one came against the Flames, I think, and that was the Heritage Classic on the 29th. So we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of that. Anyway, okay, a couple more comments here via the Nasty Chat. I'll take a look at the inbox right away. It is the Oil Stream presented by Boston Pizza. Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage with you inside the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studio. Okay. Raj says, I hope they win and rip it up tonight for Dry's B-Day. The boys need a big rager to really bond. I defer to you. I know that they had a captain's dinner on the last road trip when they stayed over in Dallas, but that's not the same as a rookie party or a birthday party. What is it about the road trip, especially like the ones that are like a week plus in length, where you get that little window? And maybe they stay in Columbus, maybe on Ohio State University, and have a little fun.
I mean, it would be fun because usually, Tommy, the team kind of split. You have your groups, right? There's the guys with a lot of times it's separate guys without kids, guys with kids, and stuff like that. So, but when you have a certain event like a rookie party, or say someone signs a big deal and takes people out and everyone gets together, those can be huge moments for the team just to let loose a little bit. Everything's so regimented at times, and if you get the green light, it's a lot of fun. But these guys have, like, it's basically the same team, right? So it's not a lot of it could help, but I don't think they're in dire need of it. I mean, if anything, I think the San Jose Sharks should probably go on a cruise or something for 2 weeks, and maybe that'll help their situation. But I mean, it's great to get out on the road with your buddies, go have a really expensive steak and a real expensive glass of wine and tell the same stories over and over again. So, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I had the good fortune of being given an invite into a couple of those scenarios, and it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love this. Okay, and actually with them going to Nashville for the next game, if they get the heck out of town really quickly out of Columbus, they won't stay in Columbus. They'll go to Nashville and rip it up.
Yeah.
That's what you do. They got the extra day there.
That's where, I mean, I think everything shuts down at 9:30 in Columbus, too.
It's pretty sleepy on a Monday.
Yeah.
Nashville, different story.
There's that,
as you know.
We would go to the Ruth's Chris.
Ruth Chris. I love how Rick does that.
I think it's just down the road from the rink there. Yeah. I remember because I'd go in there, and was it Lyle Odeline? Is that the
he played in Columbus.
Yeah, he had his own wine box, and because they were all like little. You'd have an engraving on your little box, and he had his wine box there. I was like, oh, that's Boss League.
That is Boss League. All right, let's get into a couple more comments here. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the Nasty Chat. I love how people are like, hey, the title's wrong. And there's a picture of Draisaitl shooting on UC Saros. They do play Nashville next, so one of the guys posted that, but we got it all figured out. It's all good. Thank you for keeping us on our toes. I wanted to get to, I think it was Statue Boss Productions in regard to how they start games, and then Mex Bazuzu as well. Statue Boss Productions pointed out that the Oilers often dip their toe in to see how hard they'll have to play that night.
It does seem that way. Mm-hmm. On a lot of nights, it seems like, okay, what's going to be the level of our competition tonight? And I've thought about this for a while, Tommy. I was like, and looking back to past teams that have gone to the finals or won the Stanley Cup, it did seem like the start of the year that they did kind of look like a team that was dipping their toe into the water and not just jumping in. And that in the backs of their mind, having the experience of, being the oldest team in the league, that much experience of knowing what it takes to go through a regular season. That could be it. But we've seen this. This is a trait of the Edmonton Oilers over the past few years. I would love for them to start establishing themselves early. Like, don't
go score the first goal.
Make the other team try to match your level, because let's face it, when they are all going, it's not unattainable. There's a lot of other good teams, but I look at the Dallas game. They started on time.
Yep.
They started on time for 2 periods, and Dallas kind of just hung in there on the back of good goaltending and some good defensive play, but they had nothing until the dam kind of broke with that bad first goal.
Yeah.
Right. So kind of took the wind out of the system. But I'd like to see that more from Edmonton.
Chief Fandy actually kind of points that out. He said, yesterday's game, perfect example of how a goalie can hang in there and steal a game for the boys. Oilers fans and the players needed that reassurance.
You need strengths all through your lineup. It can't just be you look at the Detroit Red Wings, they're kind of, I would say, top heavy on the offensive side of things. They got some good offensive players,
Oh, yeah.
Sider's great. Of course, Patrick Kane's still a very dangerous hockey player to play against. Talbot made some good saves too, man.
He was an all-star last year.
He looked good, but unlucky on one, and then Bouches he didn't see. And how are you gonna? He did everything right against Ekholm.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta honor the shot there. Kind of looked like the goal that the Carolina Hurricanes scored to tie it up.
Yeah,
right?
backdoor tap
in.
No chance. Yeah. Okay, I found the one from Max Bazzozo that I liked. Who's better, Pickard now or Gage in his prime?
Oh, well, I never really got a chance to play when my prime, I don't think. It was I still had some work to do, but Pickard's he's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
He's quite solid with the ability to make some big saves. That would be tough. I think I could have 1 or 2 good games, but I'd probably throw in a stinker more often than he has. He's been quite consistent.
You needed a night out before a big game.
Yeah, I did.
Alex Belzeal 7 asks, what are your thoughts on Vasily Podkolzin so far?
I've liked it so far.
Encouraging?
Yeah, he's being shuffled all over the lineup too. Which I would like to see him just try to build some chemistry on one line. But he's been good. He's been a straightforward hockey player. Couple gaffes here or there, but I'd also like to see him what happens if he can score, right? This guy scored how many the 1 year? Was it
Podkolzin 14 his rookie year.
Yeah.
And then what do you have? 3 coaches in 3 or 4 coaches in a 3-year span. That's tough. Fell out of favor with Rick Tocchet. I don't see his offensive upside. I don't watch him and go, oh, that guy's an offensive weapon. I look at him and I go, okay, he's going to hurt you if he gets a chance to hit you. He's a big body guy. Does these, the important things, the fundamentals, right?
He's, I think where you're going to see him have success is in a playoff series where just wearing guys down, hitting the same guys over and over. Yeah, hit him. Because he can throw his body around in an effective way.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's fast. The reason why I say, I'm not saying that this guy needs to score 15 goals again or 14 goals again. I'm just saying for him just to feel, okay, I've contributed offensively, just relax a little bit more around the net. Just to, just like I said with Darnell. Darnell looks like a confident guy. You want to see Podkolzin have that type of confidence as well, I think.
Podkolzin, 1 assist, -3, 4 penalty minutes in 9 games. We don't have an Oilers lineup. No skate this morning, obviously, with the travel last night after the win in Detroit. We do have Columbus lines. I'll get to those in a little bit. But we've got some good comments that also came in via the inbox. If you have any for Joaquin or myself, text us 780-218-9999. And then Nasty Chat kind of humming along quietly. Today, it's Monday, after all. A little bit of a gray day out there, not exactly warm. We're in full fall mode, I feel around here.
Yeah, I was mowing up last cut of the year on the weekend.
Is that good? Like oxygen getting into the grass type of thing?
Is that
what it is?
I mow and then I'll throw the aerator on there.
Oh,
and then pop
create
it.
the holes.
And then put the fall fertilizer so it releases slower.
Gotcha.
And then it just when everything melts and it comes back, you got to rake it up. It just goes nuts.
Yeah, you got to let that grass breathe. I like that. Good strategy. I didn't know you were a Lonnie or a Lano.
I'm not, but
like Yukon.
It looks. I bet you, if you drove by my street, you would say mine's the best.
I respect that very much, Joaquin. There's a lot I like about you.
I know.
Add that to the list.
Yeah. Well, when you come by sometime,
I'd
Tommy,
like to.
Yeah, I got to have everybody.
I got to get
over.
invited first.
I know.
Let's go to Hampton Steve, who texted, says, Tommy and Gager, most normal teams would make a couple of lineup changes in the second of back-to-backs. However, with this organization prioritizing cap space over roster flexibility, the Oilers have only one possible change to their skaters. Do you see Dermott playing tonight for Stetcher or Emberson? Gager, I'll pass that one on to you, and then I can mop it up after.
I don't think so. I think you're going to see the exact same lineup. 2-game winning streak. Don't mess with it. Because these are the types of points at the beginning of the year where you go, ugh, God, if we only just would have showed up for that one game.
Yeah.
And it could be the difference between winning and losing the Pacific, right? So there's a lot on the line with these games that these are the points they should get, And I just saw someone, but it was basically saying, if the Oilers can get to the point where they start so well and not coast to the end, but
control,
will have the ability to run through the lines late. If they get up by a few in the second period and all of a sudden everyone's just rolling, right? And you just get it, and so maybe it draws down the minutes of the top guys and just adds more, just that kind of balance. That nice balance throughout the whole lineup. Everyone plays, and everyone feels like they've been part of a win. It's not just one or two lines.
Yeah. I think Leon had 23 minutes last night.
Yeah,
I was just looking at his stat line when we gave him player of the game.
He was feeling it too.
Yeah,
I think Nabla, he saw that and was like, okay, let's
go,
keep going.
Yeah, it worked, but I'm with you. And then the roster flexibility, like Dusty and I were mocking the Oilers on Friday about the lack of flexibility because your only threat to your lineup, if there is a guy or two that dips performance-wise in a game, is Travis Dermott.
Yeah.
And he has not put together a strong start to the season. He had like one or two okay games, but there's a reason why he's on the outside looking in. And again, we kind of gave Emberson a little bit of love saying that he's kind of putting together some building blocks or steps in the right direction.
God, the retained 3.4% of their cap retained in buyouts, though, right? So
I know
that hurts.
That does.
This a little over $3 million with James Neal and Jack Campbell, which is tough.
$3 million could mean a player or two literally on the roster.
Oh yeah,
and maybe means you kept Holloway or Broberg or whatever, or didn't trade CC.
I guess so. Jack Campbell's cap hit is, it's a 1.1 this year, 2.3 next year, 2.6, 1.5. I think it was when he got sent to the minors was 3, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess that would have been.
That's how tight it is, and those are the differences that they shouldn't sink a team like Edmonton right now where they're at. But it can make a big difference. Like if you had Dylan Holloway right now, I know this is revisionist history, but if you had him because you hadn't had to buy out Campbell and James Neal's buyout wasn't still sitting there, and you had that extra $500,000 or whatever to get him, or $1 million even. Anyway.
Yeah, no, looking at their cap, the retained. Who knows? Maybe they have enough to keep. Obviously, if those offer sheets don't come, there's the ability to sign those guys. I think quite easily. I'm not sure about Broberg, though.
I know, and that's why I left him out because it wasn't a love fest between Broberg and the Oilers.
He was looking for the door, man. He was definitely, like, reading some of the stuff from St. Louis, some of the interviews. He felt, I don't know. I'm assuming this, but I really truly believe that he felt that the Oilers were holding him back, which is, hey, I've played with tons of guys that are mad at the organization because they feel like they're not being used appropriately or getting the proper shot, and I'm sure that's how he felt. And
he wasn't the most pleasant guy around there.
Oh, yeah.
But usually the young guys are very happy-go-lucky, and
especially Swedes. Jeez,
they're the best.
Yeah, he was
really
upset.
He wasn't happy. Yeah. Mike in Thunder Bay texting and says Podkolzin brings the same energy Holloway did with less scoring touch and a much lower price point. Not a bad player to have around. And yeah, and like, we're not knocking Podkolzin. He's a different player, but I think the way Mike in Thunder Bay summed it up is a fair statement.
I think that's what they were looking for. As a replacement for Holloway. That's what they found. Yeah.
Gordfather texting it says, I fully expect the boys to dip their toes in the water tonight. Jackets can be beat if you play half a game. Team to me seems like a team who knows their path is through 2 to 3 teams in the playoffs, regardless of position and standings. Will play hop enough in the Pacific bracket and then go. Hop enough. Good enough. I'm assuming we get the typos and I read them verbatim.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Shovelhead. Gager, what do you think of the F1 race yesterday?
Go for it.
You're going to have to wait till 1 to 3.
Good tease. Very good tease. All right. I do want to get to Columbus's lineup if you're wondering about those Blue Jackets who the Oilers played tonight. I know to those watching on YouTube, we have an image of Draisaitl shooting on Saros. That's a tease for Thursday night's game in Nashville. Sean Monahan centering Cole Sillinger and Kirill Marchenko. Adam Fantilli between Yegor Chinikov and Mikhail, I'm going to say...
Payeta? Is that what it is?
Pisha. I'm going to have to go to the NHL's pronouncer guide for that one. Sean Corrali with James Van Riemsdyk and Kevin LeBanc, and then Justin Danforth, who was supposedly supposed to be an Oiler last year, and Zach Aston Reese and Matthew Olivier on the fourth line. Defense for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Zach Werenski with Ivan Provorov, Jake Christensen with Damon Severson, Jack Johnson still kicking around with Jordan Harris. When you hear that lineup and look at it, what does it say to you?
That you have to show up, but look, again, this is a team that you should feast on, right?
Should, yes.
I actually look at that lineup, and I'm assuming that they would probably want to get the Monahan line up against McDavid. Fantilli, young, good player.
Yeah.
Really good player. But I think I would load up the big two against these guys. I think there's...
Just go attack.
Yeah.
Get that first one. Start piling it on.
I think they can do some damage against this team. This is one of the kind of lineups I look at. But you're going to have to watch for Fantilli. I think... Memory serves me. He's played quite well against the Oilers.
He's been impressive. Merzlink is your starter for the Jackets tonight. Merzlinkins this year 0-2, 365 GAA, 854 save percentage. Stu Skinner is confirmed for the Oilers, and I got the pronouncer for the one forward. This is from the NHL's pronouncer guide. Mikhail Potia. With the Pyyyhtia.
Tommy, the Y's are silent.
Yeah, who knew that it made the Putia sound?
Wow. That's
Mikhail Putia.
That's impressive. What do you I mean, the Jackets obviously in a different situation than the Oilers are. I think they had exemption to get to the cap floor just because of the tragedy to Johnny Gaudreau. What do you think happens with them by the trade deadline? Like, are they going to...
I think they're trying to build. It feels like this is a franchise going back to like the first year that they're in the league when they were starting out. They've always been in perpetual like rebuild or expansion mode.
Yeah.
They got out of it a couple of years with Kekalainen. Remember when they won against Tampa, and then they had Bobrovsky, they went and got Duchesne, and this guy and that guy. That was like their one or 2 year window. in the entire franchise's existence, which is too bad because that is a good hockey market. Great arena. People love the game there. Yep. They've just never been rewarded with a good team. And like Gager, I'm looking at this roster right now and I'm going rebuild mode. But I don't think they want to tear it down. I don't think that if they get to the trade deadline and are on the outside looking in and definitely not going to be making the playoffs, I don't think they want to sell.
And
they want to tweak maybe then build.
I mean, Werenski's a hell of a defenseman.
I know.
But
Marchenko's become a good player. Monahan they got for a couple of years. They've got Fantilli, like you said, who's showing some really good early signs. Cole Sillinger on their top line. Like they have guys. Like maybe you get rid of a Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe you flip him for a pick or something. But outside of that, like Provorov's young. He's looking to refine his game. Werenski is in the heart of his career. Like there could be some stuff on defense. Like Severson, when they signed him, was supposed to be a part of their resurgence.
Yeah.
Maybe they could look at moving him, but I don't think that this team wants to strip it all down again. I feel like
it would be tough for the fan base too, right? To see them. I mean, they've the whole Babcock fiasco, and it seems like all their stars have wanted to leave, and then you finally get your star that wants to stay there for a long period of time, and unfortunately he passes away. Like it's just, they need to a bucket of chicken to get to exercise these demons a little bit, right? Like this is
go to Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen
and pick one up.
Yeah.
No, I just ask because I wonder if it gets to the point where I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're going to be contending for a. And do they look to, because they only have one first-round pick, they might be looking at maybe further down the road. But
they're kind of like Buffalo without the expectation.
Yeah.
Like nice pieces, just can't seem to figure it out.
But I mean, are you telling me Sean Monahan's your top guy? Like, that's tough.
That is tough.
I mean, he's a great complimentary player, I think, and I think he can still play like second line center at times. But if I'm a GM and I have a chance for he's like my third line center, and just shutting down and chipping in offensively, like he did he was unbelievable in Winnipeg while he was there.
Yeah,
like
he was. His career, he had a resurgence last year, which is good because he's not old. Maybe by NHL standards, he's getting to the older side of things, but he's not old in general. He still has some game left, and it's good to see. Plus, he had like a lot of surgeries that hampered him the last couple of years, kind of like Tyler Seguin. And I think Monahan's a little bit younger than Seguin. All right, I'll throw this at you, Gager, in the last couple of minutes here. A chance to go 5-4-1 tonight. Wrap up the month potentially at 6-4-1. If Edmonton's able to pull off another win or two before the month's up, how would you look at the start to the season for this group?
Basically just get into the cold lake and, got the arms up. It's getting a little high.
Weight in there.
Around the upper thigh. And you're like, they're not running down the beach like you do, Tommy, and going high knees.
Well, I frolic.
And a big splash, right? And coming out of there looking like Daniel Craig in Casino Royale with your tight little blue shorts. But looking good.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. So there's definitely a ton of room for improvement. But so far, I think for a team that, everyone says there's no hangover, but I think with this team, there was more so because of the way that the previous seasons ended as well, right? They got got the teeth kicked in by Colorado. They felt that they could have beat the Golden Knights. Both teams go on to win.
Yeah.
And then past 3 seasons, the team that's beat the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs have won the Stanley Cup. That's wild. I think that was just, come on. And but now it probably took a little bit of time. It's like dating, Tommy. Like, to get over your last girlfriend. You got to win some more games. So now that they're winning a little bit more, maybe they're actually starting to forget about the year prior.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's real.
It is real.
That's real. A couple of texts coming in. Broberg was on 32 Thoughts with Frege and Bukauskas, and the sense that people got from Phillips' interview was that he wasn't re-signing with Edmonton, and that reiterates kind of our thought. And just seeing him around the room and like, hey, Phillip, what's up? And we talked, but you're like, it's cold. He's not in a happy place with his situation. So listen, good for him. Sucks for the Oilers. The fan base is frustrated by it, as it should be, and then the sugar on top is an icing on top is Holloway. And listen, I know Holloway, talking to friends who are super tight with his family, were there during the process. They were like, they thought he was definitely being matched and staying in Edmonton. So it was a play, rolled the dice, took some bad advice, and he's off to St. Louis. And those two are playing well and being used quite a bit with the Blues in the early part of this season. All right, Gager, you guys have EST afternoons coming up. You and Hernan Salas. What are you talking about? I know you said F1 race a little bit. Yeah,
we'll get into the F1. Obviously, probably a little football. There were some interesting NFL games yesterday.
Yep.
And we'll tee up for Reed and tonight against the Columbus Blue Jackets as well.
Perfect. Reed was down at Commonwealth. The Elks holding their end of season availability. Some interesting stuff coming out of that. I can't believe I haven't had a chance to talk to it. I watched Jake Julian come out on third down in overtime, and I'm like, oh my God, they are punting for a Rouge and the win. And I was on the Argo sideline because I wasn't sure which team. We interviewed whichever team's players, the winning team's players. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And I'm like, this is so just throwing it in my face. Karma's a bitch. And Jake Julian doesn't miss, and he's got a great leg, and he punts it through for the Rouge. And I was like, my goodness, good for the Elks to get that win.
Yeah.
It was a cold night. There's the Oilers and Pens that night. But 7 wins, 11 losses this season. Looks like there's a plan in place for the football team. And I don't like the chances of Trey Ford staying. There's some stuff that happened down around the locker room. Not bad, but like some little things you pick up and you read and you're like, this doesn't seem like a guy who's sticking around.
So it's Vernon Adams Jr. All right.
Hey, he's a pretty damn good quarterback too.
Right.
We'll see what happens, but some news there on the Elks front as they wrap up the season. I was just like, karma, you biatch. They kick a punt, Rouge walk-off win right in front of my face, and I still think the Rouge needs to go, Gager.
That would have been great if you came out and pushed it back in.
No.
That's Tom Gazzola rejecting the Rouge.
My last ever CFL broadcast on TSN because of that.
Oh, that would have been great.
Oh, it was a lot of fun being on the sidelines. Shout out to everybody who chirped me. There's so few people at the game that I was like, I think a big chirp. I have these earbuds that are noise canceling, but I'm pretty sure someone's making fun of me right now, and rightly so. But Gager, lots of fun. Thank you for filling in for
thanks for having me, buddy.
An ill Dusty. Doors always open. You can join anytime. You know that. We'll be live on location at Boston Pizza Westgate, 170th Street and 90th Ave, across the street from West Edmonton Mall. They have their golf simulator, $20 an hour, best rate in the city that I've seen so far. It looks great. It's in the lounge. And then the kids' Halloween party is on Thursday from 3 to 6.
Nice.
It's pretty booked for reservations from 4:30 to 6. So if you want to go down there, there's going to be lots of treats, some specials, face painting, a bunch of stuff for the kids. And then if you need a beverage, they'll have a special for mommy and daddy as well. That does it for the Oil Stream presented by Boston Pizza. Big thanks to BP and Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. For Joaquin, I'm Tom saying we'll talk to you in a little bit. EST Afternoons coming up next.